Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
Father allegedly kills daughter at Kingston home. Police are in search of a father who is believed to have killed his daughter during a dispute at their home in Kingston on Sunday morning. The deceased has been identified as 17-year-old Chidiku Calvert of Barry Street in the parish. Reports are that about 1:10 a.m., a dispute developed between the father and daughter when a knife was used to inflict wound to the daughter's chest. She was taken to hospital where she died while receiving treatment. The Jamaica Constabulary Force said it is reaffirming its commitment to reducing incidents of domestic violence through educating citizens and investigating all reported cases of domestic violence. The public is being reminded that the JCF presently has 10 domestic violence intervention DVI centers across the island. The JCF is also encouraging persons to report all suspected cases of domestic violence even if they are not the victim. 6 shot 2 fatally in Moko. 2 men were shot to dead and 4 others injured during an attack at the Darlow district in Moko, Clarendon on Saturday night. The dead men have been identified as 37-year-old Irvin Wright, otherwise called Drew, and Jason Llewellyn, 24. Both men are construction workers from Darlow district. The 4 injured men have since been admitted to hospital, with 1 being in critical condition. The 6 men were at a bar having drinks when a white Toyota Probox motor car drove up and 2 men armed with handguns exited the vehicle. One of the men entered the shop and the other stood outside. Shortly after, they opened gunfire at the victims. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, the lifeless bodies of Wright and Llewellyn were seen lying face down along the roadway with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to their backs, heads and upper bodies. The other victims were rushed to hospital for treatment. Police reportedly found 15 9mm spent casing while processing the scene. No motive has been established for the attack, the police stated. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson during his speech.
The impact of gangs on our society is noticed by everyone, and it plays out significantly here in violence. But it doesn't start here, and it doesn't stop here. It impacts our partner nations, it impacts other countries. The good thing is, and the upside is, that the networks that they create that are quite flexible and robust, we have been working assiduously to create similar networks on the law enforcement side, on the security side, and I believe on the diplomatic side, to ensure that our networks are stronger than theirs. And this is one part of sharing information, upgrading people's skill sets to ensure that we are able to respond to whatever changes that will occur. And we know that for those of us who've been in this business for a while, we've seen the organized crime morph and change as we create responses to what they do. It doesn't just go away. But over the years, we have managed to collaborate and successfully put significant dents in their operations. But they come back and they morph. And so we always have to be upgrading our skills, always have to be sharing information so that we understand what each other are doing. For your benefit, DPP, we had a meeting not long ago to deal with some of the issues around gang cases, but not just gang, but otherwise. And yesterday we had a handover of equipment for CFCD to expand their capacity and capability. Right after our meeting, we had another one, so we have a full-fledged plan and program to develop this critical part of our capability. So that should make you happy. I think it will redound to the benefit of all of us. Again, only yesterday we met with the Security Strengthening Project, which is a project that increases the technological capability of the force. And also I met with FID, all in one day. All of that links in to what we're talking about and the way we're going to deal with not just, I mean, we say gangs, but it's really organized crime. So we'll be dealing with them. And I must say, based on the number of gang leaders who are actually in jail, at the moment, obviously something is working. And we have to make sure they stay there and remain there. From the JCF perspective, obviously we have our anti-gang unit, which is the core, but this is a task that is also devolved to the divisional levels. So everybody has to be looking at the gangs in their particular area. We have the national unit, and then we have the joint anti-gang task force in collaboration with the Jamaica Defence Force that actually goes and does some of the more kinetic side of the job. I believe this training is significant, and it will boost our ability to get the prosecutions we need in gang cases. But also, these matters are complex. They take time. There are a lot of moving parts. But I believe as we do more and more of them, we get better at it. After each one, there is a debrief. We do the lessons learned, and we incorporate that into the next ones. We have a lineup of gangs coming to be prosecuted. In one sense, that is comforting. In the other sense, we know the amount of work that is required and the amount of attention over a long period of time that is required to bring one of these to successful prosecution. But I'll leave it there and just thank everyone who has contributed to this or who is in attendance today for your attention on this matter and your support. Even if it is just by your presence, it matters, because it sends the right message out there to our population and sends a message to our gangsters that they should be concerned, because they like anonymity. That's where they live. Once you shine that bright light on them, they scurry around. And so it's important for your presence. Thank you.
Capri study reveals stagnant productivity despite economic growth. A recent study conducted by the Caribbean Policy Research Institute Capri has revealed worrying data about Jamaica having good economic growth but stagnant productivity. The findings of the study were released last evening during a forum dubbed Growthless Jobs, the Paradox of Rising Employment and Stagnant Output. Capri lead researcher Ronald Blake explained that 4 factories were examined as possible causes of the low unemployment but no economic growth problem. 3 of the 4 were later ruled out, leaving one main factory. That growthless job arises from decline in labor productivity due to employers having to take on less skilled workers. Blake noted that 3 out of the 5 Jamaicans in the labor force are untrained and lack adequate education. He also noted that the policy of attracting jobs at all costs needs to be reviewed.
The job growth could only absorb less skilled workers who generally experience higher unemployment. This is why the unemployment rate for semi-skilled workers, or those with secondary qualifications, plummeted from 21% in 2015 to 12% 6 years later. This goes to the core of growthless jobs. As this declines, so does their productivity. As Jamaica's labor force approached full employment, workers who were less skilled and therefore less productive were employed more often. But naturally, the additional output from hiring those workers gradually fell. This perfectly explains the large fall-off in productivity in the industries that had particularly strong job growth. Since in Jamaica, 3 in 5 people in the labor force are untrained, the hiring spree of the last few years exceeded the economy's capacity to supply sufficient, highly skilled and productive labor. Globally, skilled workers earn between 77 and 240% more than less skilled workers. This premium is a direct result of the higher productivity of skilled workers and is consistent with the fact that there is a strong demand for these workers. Therefore, the weak education level of the most recently employed members of the labor force is the explanation for there being so little value added to GDP. Employers nationwide are finding it harder to source workers, but many of the people currently employed work in a few labor-intensive sectors that receive numerous tax benefits. These include the business process outsourcing sector and the tourism sector. Giving special treatment to these sectors is appropriate when there is high unemployment unemployment, and the government desperately needs to facilitate job creation. But in the context of a labor shortage, there's less justification for giving up tax revenue from sectors that add less to national output. This implies that the current policy framework of attracting jobs at all costs requires review. Jamaica's economy is growing and experiencing record low unemployment, but there is a growth gap of 9%.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.